Hello everyone. They are against the death penalty for murder and rape, but they want them, men that is, to be castrated and humiliated in public, flogging or some form of cultural shame. That's the position of Women Arise PNG, the group spearheading the house cry. It's a form of protest from all mothers for governments, national and provincial, churches, and the general public to do something against murderers and rapists. The lady at the head of the campaign is Esther Ego, the president of Women Arise PNG. She's our guest in this edition of TOK PIKSA. Esther Ego, thank you for coming onto the program. Are you going to cry? I mean, real cry in a mourning situation?
The house cry here in Port Moresby, or generally the house cry?
Well, the whole concept. Are you going to cry?
Well, to a certain extent, it is symbolic.
Okay.
The name house cry that was decided was actually decided by a collective group of NGOs, women groups that actually came together. With all the incident that has happened, we actually had a forum about 2 Sundays ago, and at that forum, a group of NGOs, a women group, we actually sat down and we went through all the different concepts, because what came out of the forum was that because the government didn't actually do anything, they didn't come out and condemn the killings, especially of Papua New Guineans. When they were international victims, they came out and condemned what happened. But when it was Papua New Guineans, they did not say anything, and we actually felt that to a certain extent, they actually viewed the lives of Papua New Guineans as insignificant.
Or inferior.
Or inferior,
Okay.
whatever it was, they actually viewed it as. It was because of their silence that made us, come up with that perception.
So the house cry is not so much the crime, but the response from leaders or the lack of it?
The lack of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the house cry basically for us was to take a dramatic stand, or to a symbolic stand, to actually, for the government, for leadership in all sectors, to take note that PNG as a country must do something about the current issues of violence against women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why house cry? Why call it house cry? Could have been another name.
It could have been another name, John, but we decided to call it house cry because there has been blood shed by innocent mothers, children, and men of this country. And for too long, if you actually really reflect back, there is so much suffering in this nation.
Yes.
So in order for healing to take place, we must firstly be aware of, we must be responsible for the deaths that have taken place. So the house cry is a symbolic act, and even it's symbolic, but I can assure you and guarantee you that on that day there will be tears.
Yes, yes.
There will be tears. There will be mothers crying.
Absolutely.
Because we'll be wearing black, we'll be wearing red,
And you'll have mud all over
and
your
we'll
face.
have mud on our face, whatever is significant to the customs of each of the provinces, and we will show a form of some sort of sorrow for the sufferings that has happened in this land. Yes.
Okay. You say each of the provinces. Are provinces joining you?
Yes, we have got at this stage 14 provinces confirmed to stand with the national the call of the national house cry. They all have been interacting with our head office here, or we call it head office. It's not an office, but it's a location.
Okay.
Our office here for how the house cry is going to come together, and it's progressing quite well.
Yeah. 14. Why not 20?
Well, with the house cry, we are expecting Papua New Guineans to rise up.
Yeah.
We're not going to actually go and tell them, do something about it. The other provinces we hear are getting themselves organized, that they haven't actually come to us and confirmed.
But they will.
But we believe they will.
Okay.
Come the 14th and 15th, we will have 22 provinces partaking in this.
International response.
International response, we have got 8 countries confirmed to stand with us in this house.
8 countries?
8 countries.
You want to go through them?
We have got US, Australia. US, we've got about 4 or 5 states standing with us in this. In Australia, we've got 6 states. 6 states, sorry, 6 cities standing with us on the with the house cry. We've got Japan, we've got Switzerland, we've got Ireland, we've got Philippines, Singapore. I can't remember the 8th one now. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Well, of those that you've mentioned, they're quite significant in that these are countries that we associate with, we deal with, whether it's trade or whether it's for cultural reasons or whatever. And why do you think they are getting involved? Is it because some of theirs are victims of our criminal activities here?
Yes, some of there are 2 countries that actually they were mobilized by victims that have left Papua New Guinea and and they have moved abroad. And the reason they are rising is because they want to help Papua New Guinean women. They want to, by their standing and bringing people together, make the issue significant enough for Papua New Guinea government to take note that yes, this pain is cutting across international barriers as well. It's not just felt in Papua New Guinea. I mean, you know, just a couple of weeks ago, a sister American was raped on Karkar Island. So it is as international as it is national.
Well, yeah, but are these people, the organization in those countries, are they being spearheaded by Papua New Guineans living there, or those people of that country taking the lead?
They are spearheaded by Papua New Guineans living there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's come back to the home front. 14 provinces, you're expecting 20 by Wednesday when Parliament will have met and listened to your cry. Are all women together? You've got, okay, I say this, you've got the National Council of Women, you've got Women in Politics, you've got however many district council, whatever. How are they? Are they responsive? Are you all in this together, or is this an isolated group that's pursuing a case?
We're all grouped together in this. Okay. We're really grouped together because Women Arise is a movement. It's not an organization. Women Arise came into being after the burning of the late Kipari Leniata up in Hagen, and then the gang rape of our sister nurse in in Ley. That was when women felt that it was just becoming too much. And the Women Arise movement actually was born out of those 2 major events. And it was a movement that started about 8 weeks ago. We needed to have a mobilization of women to actually come together to do something about this.
Okay.
Because
you don't have politics, you don't have other agendas that may spring from it, because that is probably an inevitable thought that many people have out there.
Yes, well, there is no politics involved in this. We are all, the women that actually have got together, the core team, they are doing this they're doing it from their heart. They dig, with the first 8 weeks that we started this, every one of us were actually digging into our own pockets, our family money to actually fund the movement. And we still are in organizing the house cry. A lot of us are actually financing that. We haven't really got any donations from government organization or from business houses. We are just in the recent couple of days, we've been getting calls from business houses from the letters that we've been writing out to say, what can we actually do to help you?
Not even the members saying, hey, here's some DSIP funds, can you take it?
No.
Nothing of that.
It has been because we have had enough. Most of us are mothers.
Right.
We don't want to see our kids, our daughters growing up in an environment that would have totally lost control.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think the word mothers is quite important here that you used. In the PNG context, mothers love their children, however bad they are.
Yes.
And in this country today, there's some terrible ones. They kill, they rape.
Yes.
There will be mothers who will have their sons up the front there doing that. How does that come across?
I mean, you're right. Mothers love their children. No matter how bad they are. And like with the death penalty, table on the floor of the Parliament, there'll be mothers out there that would have their children, sentenced to death.
And by the way, 10 are already on death row at this point.
10 are on the death row, and there are 10 mothers out there who would lose their sons. But then, there are arguments for and against. We have our stand on death penalty. And our stand basically is that we are mothers. We give life, we don't take life. And therefore, we are not for death penalty. And there are other reasons as well. The other thing that we as a Women Arise do not support the death penalty is because we call ourselves a Christian nation. Sure. And as Christian nation, it's very obvious. Only God gives life and he takes life. And the third reason is that it is research in other countries that impose death penalty. It doesn't mitigate crime.
No, doesn't solve it.
It doesn't solve it. The fourth being, we have got structures and systems, the enforcement that is in place currently, it's not even working. If it's not even working, we're not getting the enforcement of it right, then we're implementing something, we're implementing death penalty, which is the extreme. Yes. I mean, will it work? So, and the fifth one is that we have got a very weak judiciary system, or justice system. I don't know what the right word is. I'm a lay person, okay. And if a person, it does not guarantee that an innocent person, is not sentenced. So,
okay, but it happens in other countries that innocent people have been put to death.
Yes.
Put to death. Yes. Yeah. So, but then, what are you looking for? If it's not death penalty, what are you fighting for?
We are looking for tougher laws,
tougher,
but then there
tougher law in what?
Tougher penalties, and tougher penalties like for men that rape. Castration is one tougher law, a tougher punishment you could
castrate
give them.
The man
castrate the man
found guilty of rape.
Exactly, or you could do public flogging.
Okay.
One of the things that Papua New Guineans are really ashamed. Papua New Guineans are very proud people culturally. If you shame a person publicly by doing, extreme acts of shame, they are totally, scarred for the rest of their lives.
Okay. Okay.
So something, something like that. But to take someone's life, we think is just too extreme.
Yes, yes. So in other words, you are pursuing or you're looking for a form of penalty that is PNG, unique to PNG, given the level of crime and the situation we have here.
Yes.
And when you're saying culture, I see that could be a unique thing for PNG only.
Yes, culture. Talking about culture, I think Papua New Guinea, when we're talking violence, and we're trying to use culture, and we talk about violence, I think most of us use culture as an excuse to justify violence, because violence is violence, death is death, and
whichever culture.
No, but when you actually look at culture, are we saying that in our culture it's okay to kill? It's okay. I really don't think that in any culture life is insignificant. When we hold house cries, we cry and we mourn the dead because life is significant. And that's why we have an house cry in all our cultures. So life is significant. So when people use the excuse of culture as something that people hang their hats on and say, oh, it's because it's a cultural thing and we're doing this. I don't know. I have my own views on that.
Okay, okay. Our leaders, all right, you've said that they have not been as responsive as they should have been, given a death of a person or a brutal killing, if you will, or with sorcery associated. They have not come out and condemned it the way we would have liked. Yes. They've been quiet, and in fact that quietness has been deafening.
Yes, the quietness has been deafening. When you have a household, the father is the head of the household. And when something happens in the house, the father as the head must take ownership of that and claim, discipline in the house. That is what we felt. We, the children in this country, want our father to actually take a stand and say, look, we need to have discipline in the house. So when the government didn't actually take a stand, we felt that the household was disintegrating. Yep.
The Prime Minister, the Attorney General, Justice Minister, they have talked about addressing this problem by enacting certain legislations and will be taking it to Parliament. So in that context, I guess they are doing something.
Yes, doing something is one thing. Again, I'll go to the concept of the house. Okay. You Papa Blue house, and you've got children. and your children are not abiding by the rules of the house, and you go ahead and you do something without talking to your children, you think your children are going to listen to you? So it's that concept of the father must talk to the children and tell them it is wrong, we need to do something, before he actually enacts and puts in place the things that he will do to discipline the children.
Okay. Yeah. There's the other point that whenever an overseas person is attacked here or killed even, then the response, the reaction is far more than the same in PNG that happens to a Papua New Guinean. So there are different levels of reaction, I suppose, from leaders when it comes to this kind of crime situation.
Yes, there are different levels, and I think it's because of we see the response because of monetary benefits to it, as opposed to really valuing life as life should be valued. And that was what saddened us, because as Papua New Guineans, the response to the lives, like we've had the burning of late Kipari, we had the beheading of Sister Rumbali in Buka, we had the killing, the mutilation of 3 women that were found in rivers in Goroka. We had a 14-year-old girl that was killed after being raped. And then we have a rape of an international sister.
Yeah.
And she actually got a mention, but the deaths of all these other Papua New Guineans didn't get a mention.
Yeah. But
so
these are the reported ones. There are so many others that we don't know.
There are so many others that we do not know of. So many others that we do not know of. Since we started Women Arise, there had been victims that had spoken to us, that have been incidences that were not reported to us. We were called and we were told, this is happening, did you know that? And it is really scary. It makes me really scared that if that is happening, where will how will my daughter, where will my daughter be in the next 10 years? Yeah, so it is really scary.
Yeah. So police, law enforcement agencies, law and order organizations, I suppose, and our political leaders, be it elected or at the community level and all that, really don't seem to have our finger pulse moving with the real crime situation in our own areas.
No, we don't have a finger, the pulse, We really do not understand what's really happening out there. The other thing that we actually are looking at doing for the house cry is, we understand, Women Rights, we actually understand that this is a societal problem, it's a community problem. It is not a government's problem, because the society is experiencing this. And during the house cry, we're actually looking at having 3 sort of petitions made out on that day. One will be to the government, and it's calling the government to action. The government is actioning a lot of things at the moment, but we want immediate and also long-term, and we want a constant dialogue. The other thing that we're actually doing during the house cry is calling the church to action. And why we're saying that is that the church had been silent. This church, when we talk about transformation, when we're talking about a group of the body that can change the mindsets of people, it is the church. And the church has been quiet. If the pastors and priests and reverends have been at the pulpits preaching love every Sunday, preaching the gospel every Sunday, why is it that we Christians out there are still killing each other? So we're going to call the church to action as well. That is where change will truly happen. Okay. And we're also calling every Papua New Guinea to take responsibility. There's too many spectators out there. We are standing by and seeing a fellow citizen being killed. Or we're walking past at Gordon's Market and a girl is raped, and we just turn a blind eye and we walk away. So there's too many spectators, and we all need to rise up. It's not just the government's problem, it is our problem.
Yes, that's true. Churches is an interesting one. Why do you think they have not been as upfront as one would expect? Is it because of internal politics within churches themselves, or what do you think is the problem? No one single church has come up front saying this is wrong, that's the way it should go, except that they have opposed to the death penalty.
I would not know why they have not come up and state their position. Each pastors and priests maybe have preached from the pulpit every Sunday, about it being not be, about it being an issue, but they haven't come up and publicly condemned this evil. It is evil, and like everything, if you do not actually take ownership of this evil, it roams wild, it roams free. And the church has not stood up and said, we've got to really address this collectively. And I think the church is getting too comfortable in their little churches and in their little homes, and they're not going out there and really evangelizing, really preaching the gospel. They're only preaching them in the four corners of the churches.
Okay. So, all right, you've said you'd like the government to do certain things. They're talking about legislation and all that. You've mentioned that Papua New Guineans should take ownership and go up front and say, if somebody's attacked, help the victim,
Yes.
and all that. That's not being done. That should be done. What other things will you, by that time, Parliament will see it. It's not that's the government. It's Parliament. It's the opposition as well.
Yes.
So what will be your overall package, your message to the highest house on the land with the elected representatives over there?
Our overall message is that we all need to stand together with this. We all need to fight this together because it is our country. Let's not just use economic justifications for trying to address or condemn a killing when it happens. Let's actually really value life for what it should be, a life. And therefore, I think our overall message is that we all need to work together, and hence that is the approach that we have used. We have collaborated with all stakeholders before we said, let's have the house cry. And with the same, we're looking at the government, the churches, the people of Papua New Guinea, and every one of us all coming together on that day and say, let's celebrate life. And let's condemn the killing, and we have to work together to achieve this. Yes.
All right. We are running out of time now.
Okay.
Just one final question. Mothers will not come up front and say, my son's done wrong, take him to court. I will be the first one on a witness box to see that my son is punished for what he's done, which is wrong. Mothers are not known to do that. No. Do you think that after what you've done, do you think mothers should change that attitude a little bit now? That comes back to the mothers to come forward and say, my own children that are wrong in society must be punished.
I think mothers must change, because at the end of the day, true love comes from really making your child grow in having the right values in life. And if a mother is continuously protecting their child from living in the wrong values, then that is not responsible mothering. So mothers must change.
Okay. On that note, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Esther Ego, for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
That's been TOK PIKSA. Our guest was Esther Ego, the president of the new movement against crime, Women Arise PNG. TOK PIKSA will be back with another edition at the same time today week. Thank you for watching.